In today's episode, we're looking at the most horrific wildlife safari deaths ever recorded. From a veteran who couldn't escape America's apex predator, to a researcher attacked by humanity's closest relatives. But first, we start in India, where one step too close turns deadly. It was July 15, 2016, when the scorching heat of Rajasthan's summer reached its peak at Ranthambore National Park in India. The ancient fortress ruins dotted the landscape like silent sentinels, watching over a wilderness where majestic Bengal tigers roamed freely through dense forests and open grasslands. Colleen Barrett, a 32-year-old elementary school teacher from Portland, Oregon, had dreamed of this moment for years. Accompanied by her husband Michael, a 35-year-old software engineer, and their two children Emma and Jake, aged 8 and 5, the family had saved meticulously for 3 years to afford this once-in-a-lifetime Indian safari adventure. Their 10th wedding anniversary celebration had brought them to the prestigious Taj Sawai Madhopur Lodge, where Colleen's adventurous spirit and passion for wildlife photography had already impressed their guide, Rajesh Kumar. Known among friends for pushing boundaries to capture the perfect shot, Colleen carried her professional camera equipment everywhere, determined to document every moment of their authentic jungle experience. The family had spent 3 incredible days exploring the park's diverse ecosystem, witnessing leopards, sloth bears, and countless bird species. But Colleen remained unsatisfied with her tiger photographs, constantly seeking that elusive perfect image that would define their journey and justify their substantial investment. Bengal tigers are apex predators weighing up to 660 pounds, equipped with retractable claws reaching 4 inches in length and canine teeth capable of delivering crushing bites exceeding 1,000 pounds per square inch. These solitary hunters possess exceptional eyesight and hearing, making them nearly invisible stalkers in their natural habitat. Their distinctive orange coats with black stripes provide perfect camouflage among tall grasses and dappled forest shadows. During the late afternoon of their 4th day, Rajesh positioned their open jeep approximately 40 meters from a pristine waterhole, where a magnificent tigress had arrived to drink with her 2 subadult cubs nearby. The 300-pound female, an unnamed territorial matriarch known to local guides only by her distinctive scar across her left shoulder, displayed her stunning orange coat marked with bold black stripes as she lowered her massive head to the water's surface. Colleen became mesmerized by the scene, watching the tiger's reflection shimmer in the still water. Despite Michael's urgent protests and Rajesh's firm warnings about remaining seated, Colleen quietly stood and stepped from the vehicle, camera in hand. She moved deliberately toward the waterhole, believing the drinking tiger posed no immediate threat. The scarred tigress detected Colleen's presence instantly, raising her enormous head and fixing her amber eyes on the approaching human. At 15 meters distance, the tigress stood to her full height, ears flattening against her skull in an unmistakable warning display. Colleen froze but failed to retreat, continuing to focus her camera lens on the magnificent predator. This fatal hesitation triggered the tigress's territorial instincts. The tigress exploded into motion, covering the distance in less than 2 seconds at 35 miles per hour. Colleen managed only 2 desperate steps before the 300-pound predator struck her from behind with devastating force. The impact launched Colleen face first into the red earth, her camera flying from her grasp. The scarred tigress immediately clamped her powerful jaws around Colleen's neck and skull, her 4-inch canine teeth penetrating deep into the cervical vertebrae. The tigress applied crushing pressure exceeding 1,000 pounds per square inch, completely compressing Colleen's airway while simultaneously severing her spinal cord at the C2 vertebra. Tigers kill through precise throat crushing and spinal separation, techniques perfected through millions of years of evolutionary development. Colleen's body went limp within 60 seconds, as oxygen deprivation and massive neurological trauma took immediate effect. The territorial female maintained her death grip for several additional minutes, ensuring the perceived threat was completely neutralized. Following instinctive behavior patterns, she began dragging Colleen's lifeless body toward dense undergrowth, intending to cache her kill away from potential scavengers. The entire attack lasted less than 3 minutes, with Rajesh unable to intervene due to strict park regulations prohibiting firearms. Park authorities launched an immediate investigation into the incident, reviewing safety protocols and guide training procedures. The Barrett family's tragedy sparked international discussions about wildlife tourism safety standards, with conservation groups emphasizing the critical importance of maintaining safe distances from dangerous predators. Colleen Barrett's story was a tragic reminder of how quickly a tiger can strike when one fatal step crosses the line. For Warren Douglas, it wasn't an exotic predator he was tracking, but a massive grizzly in Yellowstone's wilderness that would prove far deadlier. It was September 3, 2017, when the crisp autumn air of Yellowstone National Park carried the scent of pine and approaching winter through Wyoming's rugged wilderness. The vast expanse of America's first national park stretched endlessly, with towering mountains, dense forests, and pristine meadows creating a photographer's paradise. Warren Douglas, a 45-year-old wilderness photographer from Denver, Colorado, had arrived at Slough Creek Campground for what he planned as his most ambitious solo expedition yet. A divorced father of 2 teenage daughters, Warren possessed extensive military survival training from his Army days and had spent 15 years capturing award-winning wildlife images across North America's most remote locations. His weathered hands and keen eyes reflected years of calculated risks in pursuit of that perfect shot. Warren's reputation among wildlife photographers was built on his ability to read animal behavior and maintain safe distances while capturing intimate moments of predator life. He had been tracking a massive male grizzly for 2 days, hoping to document the bear's natural feeding behavior during the crucial pre-hibernation period. His military background had instilled confidence in his survival abilities, making him comfortable venturing alone into territories where most photographers required guides and backup support. Warren's daughters often worried about his solo expeditions, but his track record of successful wilderness photography had earned their reluctant acceptance of his dangerous profession. Grizzly bears are among North America's most formidable predators, with adult males weighing up to 800 pounds and possessing strength capable of breaking tree trunks. Their 4-inch claws can shred thin sheet metal and inflict devastating wounds, while their powerful jaws deliver bite forces exceeding 1,200 pounds per square inch. These apex predators can reach speeds of 35 miles per hour despite their massive size, and their acute sense of smell surpasses that of bloodhounds by 7 times. During autumn, grizzlies enter hyperphagia, consuming up to 20,000 calories daily to prepare for winter hibernation, making them extremely aggressive when defending food sources. Their territorial nature becomes particularly pronounced when protecting kills from scavengers and perceived threats. On his 3rd morning, Warren discovered the 600-pound boar feeding on a fresh elk carcass in a meadow near Slough Creek. The massive bear's chocolate-brown fur rippled with muscle as it tore chunks of meat from the carcass with methodical precision. Warren initially positioned himself 150 yards away behind a fallen log, capturing several shots through his telephoto lens. The bear remained focused on feeding, occasionally lifting its enormous head to scan the surroundings before returning to its meal. Driven by the desire for more dramatic close-up images, Warren began advancing using available cover. At 100 yards, he crouched behind a large boulder, continuing to photograph the feeding bear. The grizzly showed no signs of agitation, encouraging Warren to move closer. He repositioned himself behind a cluster of pine trees at 75 yards from the massive predator, believing his military stealth training would keep him undetected. This distance violated park regulations requiring a 100-yard minimum separation from bears. The wind suddenly shifted direction, carrying Warren's human scent directly toward the feeding bear. The grizzly had likely detected his presence much earlier, but tolerated it while focused on feeding. The scent change triggered an immediate alarm. The grizzly's massive head snapped upward, nostrils flaring as it processed the threat. The bear rose onto its hind legs, reaching nearly 9 feet in height, scanning methodically for the source of the intrusion. Its ears pinned back against its skull while its shoulder muscles visibly tensed beneath its thick fur. Warren remained motionless, hoping the bear would return to feeding. Instead, the grizzly dropped to all fours and began moving deliberately in his direction, following the scent trail with predatory focus. At 50 yards, the bear spotted Warren behind the trees. The grizzly immediately charged, covering the distance in less than 4 seconds. Warren fumbled desperately for his bear spray, but the safety clip jammed in his panic. The 600-pound predator struck him with tremendous force, its massive forepaws slamming into his chest and abdomen. The impact launched Warren backward into a tree trunk with bone-crushing force. The grizzly followed immediately with devastating bites to Warren's scalp, face, and shoulders, its powerful jaws crushing bone and tearing flesh while causing massive bleeding. The bear then began brief mauling behavior, using its 4-inch claws to rake Warren's torso. Warren's ribcage fractured under the assault, puncturing his left lung. The grizzly's claws penetrated his abdominal cavity, causing massive internal bleeding and organ damage. Warren lost consciousness within 30 seconds due to blood loss and traumatic brain injury. The attack lasted approximately 60 seconds before the bear, satisfied that the threat was eliminated, returned to its elk carcass. Park officials reinforced existing safety protocols and increased educational outreach about maintaining proper distances from wildlife following the incident. Warren Douglas's story proved that even military training means nothing against a grizzly's fury. For Eleanor Briggs, it wasn't the North American wilderness she'd face, but Costa Rica's dark rainforest where a different predator hunted in complete silence. It was March 22, 2018, when the humid air of Costa Rica's Corcovado National Park hung heavy with the scent of wet earth and the cries of nocturnal creatures echoing beneath the dense rainforest canopy. Deep on the remote Osa Peninsula, this wilderness is one of the most biodiverse places on Earth, where every sound hides life and every shadow holds motion. Eleanor Briggs, a 28-year-old tourist from San Diego, for what was supposed to be a week of guided eco-adventures. They had joined a small group staying at a remote lodge near the park's northern boundary, where visitors could hike into the primary forest with local guides during daylight hours. The couple had spent the afternoon photographing scarlet macaws, capuchin monkeys, and the winding, root-tangled trails that snaked through the jungle. That evening, after dinner, Eleanor realized she had left her action camera along one of the marked trails where they had filmed earlier. Against Marcus's protests and the lodge owner's warnings, she decided to go back alone to retrieve it before the rain arrived. She insisted it was only a short walk, 15 minutes at most, and took a small LED headlamp and her phone for light. The rainforest at night was suffocatingly dark. Moonlight barely filtered through the canopy, and the rhythmic drone of insects filled the air. Eleanor followed the muddy trail, guided by the narrow white beam of her headlamp. She didn't know that the narrow paths hikers used during the day were also favored by the forest's apex predator, the jaguar. About 40 meters away, a female jaguar, weighing just over 60 kilograms, around 130 pounds, had been patrolling her territory. Her keen hearing caught Eleanor's footsteps and the faint beeping of the phone's flashlight control. The cat crouched low, her dappled coat melting into the shadows. Jaguars are ambush hunters, relying on stealth, patience, and explosive strength. In the dense rainforest, their attacks last seconds, not minutes. Eleanor found her camera half buried near the roots of a fallen tree and sighed with relief. As she brushed off the mud, a low, guttural growl rolled through the darkness behind her. She froze, her pulse hammering. She swung her headlamp toward the sound, but the beam struck only dense leaves and tangled vines. The jungle seemed to hold its breath. Then, from the left, the jaguar struck. In a blur of muscle and speed, the cat leapt from behind the fallen log and slammed into Eleanor's upper body, driving her to the forest floor. Her headlamp flew off, plunging the clearing into blackness. Before she could scream, the jaguar's jaws locked around her neck and lower skull. Its teeth punctured deep into the soft tissues beneath the jawline, severing arteries and crushing part of the upper spine. The force of the bite caused catastrophic hemorrhage and asphyxia within moments. Eleanor's body went still. The jaguar held its grip for nearly a minute, then released and began dragging the body toward the undergrowth to cache its kill. Within minutes, the forest was silent again. When Eleanor didn't return, Marcus and 2 guides set out with flashlights. They found her headlamp near the broken undergrowth, but no sign of her. It took local rangers and police until dawn to locate her remains about 200 meters from the trail. The attack was confirmed to be by a wild jaguar, a rare but known occurrence in regions where human activity overlaps with hunting corridors. Costa Rican authorities closed the area for several months to track and relocate the animal. The incident led to stricter visitor guidelines for Corcovado, including mandatory guides after sunset and prohibitions against solo travel beyond lodge boundaries. Eleanor Briggs's story became a sobering reminder that the rainforest, for all its beauty, remains a world ruled by instinct and survival, a place where one wrong step into the dark can cross the line between wonder and wilderness forever. It was January 8th, 2017, when the oppressive humidity of Queensland's wet season hung over the Daintree River estuary, where ancient rainforest met the crocodile-infested waters of Australia's far north. The murky, tannin-stained tidal waters wound through one of the world's oldest surviving rainforests, creating a primordial landscape where saltwater crocodiles had ruled as apex predators for millions of years. Tracy Coleman, a 35-year-old adventure tour guide from Brisbane, had built her reputation on providing authentic Australian wilderness experiences to international tourists. However, Tracy was relatively new to the Daintree region, having recently expanded her operations from the safer waters around Brisbane. While experienced with river tours, she had only been operating in crocodile country for 8 months, and was still learning the unique dangers of the far north. That morning, Tracy was leading a small group of 4 American tourists seeking an authentic Australian adventure experience. The group consisted of 2 wealthy couples from Texas who had specifically requested off-the-beaten-path experiences and were paying premium rates for exclusive access. Tracy's boat had been navigating the Daintree River estuary system, showcasing the unique ecosystem where World Heritage rainforest meets tidal waters. Local Aboriginal guide Jimmy Calcara had warned Tracy about increased crocodile activity due to recent flooding, which had stirred up the ecosystem and made the massive reptiles more active and unpredictable. Experienced guides in crocodile country maintain absolute rules about water contact: no hands, feet, or equipment in the water under any circumstances. The clients had accidentally dropped $8,000 worth of professional camera equipment overboard in what appeared to be a shallow section near the bank. The gear was clearly visible in the clear water, tantalizingly close to shore. The clients became increasingly agitated, with one couple threatening to demand a full refund and leave devastating reviews that could destroy Tracy's expanding business. Saltwater crocodiles are among the world's most formidable predators, with large males reaching lengths of over 20 feet and weighing up to 2,200 pounds. These apex predators are perfectly adapted ambush hunters, capable of remaining motionless for hours before exploding into action with devastating speed. Their powerful jaws generate tremendous bite forces, making them among the most dangerous predators on Earth. Tracy made a series of increasingly poor decisions. First, she used a boat hook to try reaching the equipment, extending herself dangerously over the water's edge. When that failed, she considered using the boat's anchor rope to snag the gear. Finally, under intense client pressure and fearing financial ruin from negative reviews, Tracy made the fatal error of leaning too far over the boat's edge while attempting to reach the equipment with a net. A massive male saltwater crocodile had been lying motionless in the deeper water nearby, perfectly camouflaged among submerged logs and vegetation. The recent floods had brought the ancient predator into shallower hunting grounds, where it waited with prehistoric patience. As Tracy stretched over the boat's gunwale, her balance shifted. The boat rocked slightly, and she fell forward into the water with a splash that immediately attracted the crocodile's attention. The massive reptile erupted from its hiding place with explosive force. Tracy had barely surfaced when the crocodile struck with devastating precision. The attack was swift and overwhelming, giving her no opportunity to escape or defend herself. The client's screams echoed across the estuary as they witnessed the attack, but it was over within moments. Emergency services were called immediately, but Tracy was already beyond help. Queensland authorities investigated the incident and issued renewed safety advisories to tour operators, emphasizing existing protocols about maintaining safe distances from water in crocodile habitat. The investigation reinforced that established guidelines were adequate when properly followed, but highlighted the ongoing challenges of client pressure and commercial considerations in wilderness tourism. Body recovery required specialized teams and took several days due to the challenging conditions and the need to locate and safely remove the crocodile from the area. Tracy's death served as a tragic reminder that even a moment's lapse in judgment can be fatal in crocodile country. The incident highlighted the particular vulnerabilities faced by newer operators who may underestimate the absolute nature of crocodile safety protocols and the dangerous pressure that client expectations can place on guides operating in Australia's most hazardous environments. It was November 14, 2015. when the dense canopy of Uganda's Kibale National Park filtered the equatorial sun into dappled patches of light across the forest floor. This wilderness harbored one of the highest concentrations of primates in the world, including over 1,500 chimpanzees living in complex social groups throughout the protected area. Shane Porter, a 29-year-old primatology graduate student from Oxford University, had arrived at the Makerere University Biological Field Station to conduct research on chimpanzee territorial behavior for his PhD thesis. Known among his colleagues for his methodical approach and strict adherence to safety protocols, Shane had spent 6 months gaining experience with habituated chimpanzee groups and was considered one of the more cautious researchers in the program. Shane had been tracking a habituated chimpanzee community for 3 months, documenting their daily behavioral patterns and social interactions. The community consisted of approximately 15 individuals across various age groups, led by a dominant alpha male. Shane's research focused on territorial disputes and boundary maintenance, requiring him to follow the group during their daily foraging activities. The research station's protocols required researchers to maintain a minimum 7-meter distance from chimpanzees and retreat immediately if aggressive displays began escalating. Chimpanzees are humanity's closest living relatives, sharing 98.8% of human DNA, but possess physical capabilities that significantly exceed human strength and agility. Adult males can weigh up to 150 pounds and are considerably stronger than humans, with powerful canine teeth that serve as formidable weapons. These highly intelligent primates live in complex social hierarchies, where aggression plays a crucial role in establishing dominance and defending territory. On his 89th day of observations, Shane was following the group when they encountered members of a rival community near a territorial boundary. The encounter began with typical aggressive displays including chest beating, branch shaking, and loud vocalizations from both groups. Shane positioned himself at what he believed was a safe distance from the confrontation. However, during the escalating territorial dispute, several agitated chimpanzees became increasingly unpredictable. In the chaos of the encounter, Shane found himself too close to the conflict zone as tensions reached their peak. The alpha male, highly agitated from the territorial confrontation, suddenly charged toward Shane. Whether interpreting the researcher as a threat or simply redirecting territorial aggression, the chimpanzee attacked with explosive force. The attack was swift and devastating, with the chimpanzee's powerful bite inflicting severe trauma to Shane's neck and upper body. Despite his experience and training, Shane was unable to escape or defend himself against the animal's superior strength and aggression. The attack lasted only minutes, but the injuries were catastrophic. Shane succumbed to his wounds before help could arrive at the remote location. The incident shocked the research community and led to extensive reviews of safety protocols for field researchers. While fatal attacks on researchers are extremely rare, Shane's death served as a tragic reminder of the inherent risks in studying powerful wild animals, even those considered habituated to human presence. The Kibale research program implemented additional safety measures following the incident, including mandatory 2-person teams for all chimpanzee observations and enhanced emergency communication systems. Shane Porter's death remains one of the few documented fatal attacks on a researcher by habituated chimpanzees, highlighting that even our closest evolutionary relatives can pose serious dangers under certain circumstances. Thanks for watching. Want to watch more? Click on your screen now.